Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Washington Informer newspaper's digital broadcast program, WIN TV. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer. I hope you've had a chance to pick up a copy of this week's Washington Informer. Oops, let me get mine. Yes, this is it. We've got another issue out, and I hope you've had a chance to pick it up. Like I said, you can get copies of the Washington Informer for free, really at newsstands all across the DMV. So while you can read the paper online, if you want to know places where you can actually pick up the paper, you can go to our website at washingtoninformer.com and go to our circulation tab, and it will give you all of the locations where you can pick up a copy of the Washington Informer. This week in our Black History Month special section, we highlight music, setting the tone for Black resistance. The theme this year for Black History Month, established by the Association of African American Life and History. So, in our special section featuring Black, and we do Black History 24 or 357 days. It is 350, right?
365.
365. I missed a couple, maybe because we're not doing weekends. I don't know. But anyway, 365 days a year. So we just take a little bit of time during Black History Month to really look at the theme and how we can tie some of our more specialized reporting on the issues that relate to the theme. So this year, as you all know, the theme for Black History Month is Black resistance. And we decided that we would take this particular week to look at songs of Black power and protest. We will faith and how faith has impacted Black resistance. And we also published a feature story on the Black cemetery in Georgetown and its designation by the DC City Council as a sacred site. These are some great stories this week, y'all, in the Washington Informer. So I hope you will go out and get a copy, or you can read these stories in the print edition as well as online and our digital edition at washingtoninformer.com. Now, if you're watching us on Facebook, please go ahead and hit share so your followers can see the broadcast. And if you're watching on Twitter, be sure to follow us as well, and we will follow you back. Guess what, Sherry? I just heard that we finally have made it to 12,000 followers on Twitter. Lordy, now, some of those influencers out there may be looking at our numbers and laughing or joking, but I mean, that's serious for us because we certainly count every single day. Because when we get a new follower or a new subscriber on our social channels, not only are we looking at it, but our advertisers are looking at it. And you can read us online for free. You can get the copy of the newspaper on newsstands for free. And so we survive off of advertising, and advertisers really want to see that people are paying attention to us, that they're coming to our site, our social channels, that they're reading the Informer, and consequently seeing their ads. So all of that is very, very important to us. So that's why we're like the preachers on Sunday, asking you to tithe. We're asking you to tithe too, but we're just asking you to just to follow us. That's all we're saying. Just to follow us, and we will follow you back, and to subscribe. I didn't mention that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. That's one word, Washington Informer TV. So I hope that you all will do as I've asked. No cost. It's just being a part of who we are. So our guests today are Kari Brown, President and CEO of Spark the Journey, a mentorship organization helping young people become successful. We have also with us Sydney Gale, a senior at Duke Ellington School of the Arts, Patricia Bratton, a senior at Jackson Reed High School, and Paige Tazen, I hope I pronounced her last name properly, a senior at Winston Churchill High School in Potomac. And all of these young ladies are coordinators for the DC High School Film Festival. Whoa, I can't wait to hear more about that. I mean, can you just some of the creativity that we are seeing in our folks around the city is just fantastic. And speaking of that, the Bridge which is our supplement to the Washington Informer, that publishes every week. Excuse me, I'm sorry. We have we have someone peeking through our window here. So we wanted to just make sure that we paid attention to that. But if you haven't seen a copy of The Bridge, WI Bridge, it publishes it once a month at the end of the month, and it is published by Lafayette Barnes and his team of writers and other supporters. And this week, they've been doing a lot of work looking at creators in the DMV. So I look forward to possibly having them connect with our young high school film festival coordinators. Yes, that's this week's copy of The Bridge. And so check it out. It's inside this edition of the Washington Informer. And you can also find them at wibridgedc.com, I believe is the website. Lastly, let me just say that we're going to have King Smith with us, and he's a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 8950 in Lanham, Maryland. And so he has some really thoughtful ideas that he wants to share with us about ways to address food security challenges in the DC area. So before we bring on our guests, let's watch our weekly news broadcast by Curtis Knowles.
This is Win TV News, bringing you the news that matters. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been fined $5 million by the Securities and Exchange Commission over accusations that the religious institution failed to properly disclose its investment holdings. In an order released Tuesday, the CEC alleged that the church illicitly hid its investments and their management behind multiple shell companies from 1997 to 2019, and in doing so failed to disclose the size of the church's equity portfolio to the CEC and the public. The allegations of the illicit shell company structure first emerged in 2018 when the group formerly known as Mormon Leaks, now known as the Truth and Transparency Foundation, claimed that year the extent of the church's investments had reached over $32 billion. The University of Maryland will name its new School of Public Policy building in honor of the late Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. He was the Supreme Court's first African-American justice. Marshall, who was rejected originally by the University of Maryland School of Law for admission in 1930 because of his race, ended up attending Howard University School of Law in D.C., graduating first in his class. The official naming ceremony will take place at the end of the month. President Darrell J. Pines commented saying, quote, "He fought for landmark civil rights, including access to our university by all its citizens, and assigning his name to the School of Public Policy building honors his contribution to our university, state, and nation." Tuesday marks the anniversary of the assassination of civil rights leader Malcolm X, which coincides with his family announcing plans to sue the agencies, including the CIA, FBI, and the New York Police Department, for over $100 million, accusing them of playing a role in his death. Two of his daughters, Ilyasha Shabazz and Quimbilla Shabazz, were joined by attorney Ben Crump at a news conference at the former Audubon Ballroom in Upper Manhattan. 3 men were convicted of the crime, but 2 were exonerated in 2021 after a renewed investigation into the cases against them showed the evidence used to gain convictions was shaky and that the authorities had held back some information. Ilyasha Shabazz, the co-administrator of her father's estate, filed notices of claim, which is the first step in the process, with her saying, quote, "The agencies conspired with each other and with other individuals and acted or failed to act in such a way as to bring about the wrongful death of Malcolm X."
Thank you so very much, Curtis. Boy, some really hot news this week. And if you don't read it in the Washington Informer, you can definitely see it here at WIN TV. It's our job to keep our community informed. So thank you so much for that. I am excited to bring on now Kari Brown, who's the president and CEO of Spark the Journey. He has taken the organization from reaching only 50 students per year to 500 students and has grown by 400% since 2012. You have been working, Mr. Brown, on behalf of our young people. Welcome to WIN TV.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Denise. It's great to be here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So tell us a little bit about Spark the Journey.
Well, Spark the Journey provides mentorship and a community of support to Black and Brown young adults in the DC region to help them chart their own pathways to college and career success. And our goal is to really equip these young people with the skills and the experiences that they will need to achieve upward economic mobility as adults.
But what's your journey? What was your journey there?
My own.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody's not, you know, fit to do all kinds of jobs, right? And when it comes to working with young people too, not everybody is, young people have a lot of challenges. And so, sometimes it's a personal journey that helps to, make this the kind of work that you want to do. What's your journey?
Well, I was really fortunate to have great mentors in my life, and that is really why I wanted to pay it forward to other young people. And I saw that there were a lot of young people around me who didn't have some of the things that helped to make me, get me to where I am today. And so I've been spending my career, the past 25 years, really pouring into young people to help them. I started my career, I guess, in working with young people as a coach. I was coaching high school basketball many years ago, and that really inspired me to really make a career in education. I saw, a lot of the inequality that exists in our school systems, and seeing it up close and working with young people who had a lot of potential but didn't have the resources really inspired me to help get them those resources.
That's really great. Are you from the DMV?
I am not from the DMV. I'm from the Boston area.
Okay.
I've been here about 22 years now.
So we know that the challenges that young people face are not just isolated to one city, one jurisdiction. It's a national issue and concern, and I would say a work. A work. You just. I'm excited that you're doing this. So, this path to success, what does that look like for the young folks that you work with? How are you setting them on it, and how do they maneuver it?
Well, we hope that they will chart their own pathways, but much of our program is designed for the pathway toward higher education. I think historically that has been a way to open doors to opportunity for young people who are looking for economic mobility. And so much of our program is geared toward helping high school students find success in high school, prepare for college admission, and then we mentor and support them as they move on through college and to help them graduate from college. We also mentor other young adults who are looking to go right into the workforce. And that's becoming a growing part of our program model. So really, young people need coaching. They need opportunity. And, whether it's going, to higher education or going right to work, mentoring can help young people be successful anywhere.
So how do you all find each other? How does a young person find your organization, or how do you find them, and how do you connect?
Well, we do a lot of that through partnerships. So we try to go where, look for those who can refer the students to us. So of course, our schools here in Washington. So we partner with public and charter high schools. We're trying to reach those students who live in the lowest income neighborhoods in the city. And we track those students, as I said, through high school and into college. We also partner with other nonprofit organizations who are serving a similar population of young people. And those programs may have job training aspects. And so we get referrals from some of those programs. We refer our students to those programs. And so that's another, great source for us.
With every, bit of work that we do, really community service type of work, we have our challenges and our successes. And so, I mean, is that one of your challenges, being able to reach out to young people, particularly in certain communities? Has that been a challenge for you, and how have you all been able to succeed?
I don't think, I'm not sure which particular challenge you're referring to, but we are deliberate in going to where we feel that we can make the most difference. And so we're targeting those neighborhoods that have the least economically. And those are hungry young people who are looking for a way, to be able to earn more than their parents ultimately, right? And so they see it as an opportunity, and we see it as an opportunity, to help support them.
So are you all in Blue or Anacostia or Woodson? I mean, because I think those are my neighborhood schools. And I'm just wondering, and that's one way folks describe the neighborhood that we're in. So have you been successful in getting into any of those schools? And maybe give me an example of a young person that you've been able to help them to go on their path.
And Denise, I've been leading this organization now for 22 years. So I've seen many, many successes and have, grateful to have relationships with many of our alumni. The ones that are really the most meaningful to me are young people who go on to do things that are helping others in the community. So we have a number of our former graduates who have become educators, teachers, nonprofit leaders, those who are working in healthcare, the helping professions. We have a number of our former students who are now volunteering with us. We have a few who are now on our staff and are working with young people who are attending the schools that they had attended. Some who are on our board and some who are donors. So these I call them full circle opportunities or situations where, those are certainly the ones that are most meaningful to me. But we've seen success stories in, all types of professions.
What about the schools and what schools are you all in, or what schools do you partner with?
We're
in the city.
10 schools. I don't want to go through the list of them all, but again, all schools in Northeast and Southeast primarily. We also work with the Office of the State Superintendent of Education, OSSE, around some referrals, and so that gets us to students from throughout the city.
Kari, one of the challenges, and I'm a graduate of DCPS. I went to Coolidge High School, and these guidance counselors that are there that are really supposed to help students, kind of in that path, right, to decide what schools they're going to go to, if they're going to go on to college, or what is the next step. And we have learned, I think, over the years, a lot of times these counselors are in a minority of cases may be ineffective. In a majority of cases, they are overwhelmed. So how do you work with guidance counselors to help with the students that they're actually put there to help?
Yeah. I would say it is a challenging time for educators right now. To your point about being overwhelmed. I think particularly these last 3 years have been really, really hard. And I would say, one thing I would love to see in our society is for more resources to be invested into our schools. That said, we're really happy to work with a number of guidance counselors who care really deeply about the young people that we're trying to serve. And they're great in terms of offering us referrals. So a lot of our work happens outside of the school.
Okay.
And so the work with the guidance counselors is initially when they are referring students to us. And then if we're learning things about the students, or if they are learning things about the students that, might be helpful to us, that we share information and team together.
Let me ask also, because I don't know if I heard what you said. I don't know if I heard it correctly, but did you say that more students are graduating from high school and looking for jobs more so than they have in the past, as opposed to going the college route?
That is a trend that began for us a year or two before the pandemic, and then and that is consistent with numbers around the country. College enrollment's going down everywhere, and then the pandemic made that worse. And that's, I think, coming from a couple of factors. The biggest one is an economic factor. Colleges are too expensive, and the families that we're working with have faced hard times in these past several years. So we are seeing fewer students who are wanting to go to four-year colleges directly out of high school and make that kind of investment. And so that's one of the reasons why we're doing more work in mentoring to workforce, which doesn't leave out the option of going to college later on.
Right? Exactly.
And what we see often with our young people is that it's not a straight pathway, whichever one that they choose. So if you start in college, you may not complete all the time because our students have to work, right? And they may want to work before they go, or they may work during, and they may need to take time off. Our population of young people also is more likely than those who have more money to need to transfer at some point. Again, this is mostly for economic reasons. A lot of times our students will need to support family members at some point. They want to stay closer to home nowadays. So, we're trying to be responsive to what we're seeing. And, I would say this is a difficult time for a lot of people who are pursuing higher education these days.
So what are the options? And I know we're running out of time, but what are the options for a high school student now who wants to work? I mean, the workforce has changed so much. It was changing before COVID. Since COVID, it's changed a lot. And I think technology, maybe healthcare too. But, what are the options for a high school graduate?
Well, it's changing under our feet. Literally, it changes. It's more rapidly these days than ever before. We're seeing that, even in retail is needing to hire people and is willing to pay more, but there are a number of great job training programs or workforce development programs that we're partnered with. We are partners in what's called the Talent for Tomorrow Alliance. It's a collaborative of 5 nonprofit organizations that serve a similar population of youth and are either doing college preparatory and college success work or workforce development training. And so a number of our partners have relationships with employers that will train you and then get you a connection to someone who's looking for young talent. So those are some of the best opportunities, I think, right now for young people who don't want to go directly to college. And I think that's, an area that will hopefully grow over time.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, that you just sold me right there. The fact that I could go into a training program and a program that will lead me to a job, as long as I'm willing to learn, there's an opportunity. So I really do like that. Do you all need volunteers? How do you all work with,
yes,
I got to ask that, volunteers and funding.
No, thank you, Denise, for asking that. Those are two things that, obviously fuel our program. So we have what I call a volunteer workforce. We have more than 500 volunteers who are working with our students, and we don't pay them. So our staff supports them. But we always need more mentors, more volunteers. So I think the banner, gives your listeners and viewers opportunity to go to our website and our social media channels and learn how to get involved. But we need more mentors all of the time. And we need financial support. We're almost entirely privately funded. And we rely on the community to support our young people. We have an event on April 26th. It's a fundraising event at the Eaton Hotel, and you can get more information about that again at our website.
Well, that's wonderful. I am, one of the things that we always hear in this period of crisis that we're in to a certain extent with the violence that's happening. And that I always say everybody always comes out, someone puts a microphone in their face and they say, we've got to do something. We've got to do something. And so, my question is, each one of us can do something. And one of those somethings would be to volunteer with Spark the Journey. You're working directly with young people and you're giving them exposure and experience. This is your non-paid commercial. That they need to kind of see what the world has for them, so people don't always like mentoring can be tough, right? And I'm sure you have support for that, and they can find out from you what the time commitment is like and how you find that young person that you want to work with. And sometimes it's just having them to shadow you, right? So
I would say, Denise, we've been doing this work. We're in our 30th year now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been leading the organization, as I said, for 22 years. We're always improving what we're doing. And, we have we have an excellent mentoring program, a well-oiled machine that supports our mentors and helps them have good experiences. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to come on here and share about our work.
Well, I'll just say, and people here, they always fuss at me here at the Washington Informer, but if you got a student that's interested in journalism, in television production, in graphic design, or any of these new media areas that we can, as a team, help to mentor, send them our way.
Thank you. Yes, we will. Send one.
Well, let us start with one.
Okay.
Oh, Sherry said 3, but no, we're going to start with 1.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, so you know where we are, and I said Baloo, we're right around the corner. So I mean, having that connection with you to make that connection would be a wonderful thing. So next time we meet, who knows, that person might be hosting this show.
All right. You want them to put you out of a job, though, Denise?
It's that time.
Fair enough.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for the work that you're doing in the community. It's God's work, so I appreciate
Thank you. It's our pleasure, for sure. Thank
you.
you.
All righty. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was great. That was great. I mean, like I said, we need to support these mentoring programs out there. If we can catch young people early, they're getting out of high school. I know how scary, I don't know about you, Sherry, but I know how scary it was coming out of high school and thinking, okay, now I'm supposed to be an adult. I'm supposed to be able to take care of myself. I'm supposed to, that's why I went to school. I went back to school and I said, I don't think I'm ready to be grown yet. Let me go back to school, which I went to Hampton and then Howard, and finally got my degree and move forward. So I don't think that's any different from any other 17 or 18-year-old out here who needs our some hand-holding as they begin to make those next steps into adulthood. And they're still kids. They really are still kids. And speaking of young people, joining us now are Sydney, Paige, and Patricia, all seniors in high school and coordinators of the DC High School Film Festival. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
How are you all?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm good. I am excellent. And I am so excited to have you all here with me today. I mean, I'm trying to fathom how you all got together. 3 different, first of all females, different schools, interested in film, and put on a film festival. Who can tell me how this all happened?
Well, I got connected to DC Independent Film Forum through an internship that I had the summer before. And so I got placed at my job site, which was DC Independent Film Forum. And I was told that my job throughout the year would just to organize the film festival. And that's how I got to meet Paige and Patricia.
Wow. Okay. But how was Sydney? I mean, you worked there, but did you have an interest in film before you got there?
Not specific to film, but I am interested in art in general since I go to Duke Ellington School of the Arts.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. Makes sense. Paige, what's your story?
I actually went to the film festival last year. I'm very interested in film. And so I went to watch, and I'd contacted the head coordinator for the entire film festival. And talked about being part of the high school section for next year. And I waited around for about 6 months and then got contacted again and started going through all the films. And that's how I got involved with it.
Wow. And Patricia, yours?
I also was in the same internship as Sydney, but I was working with DC Independent Film Festival during the summer. I interned with them, and I worked with some also high schoolers to help make films.
So, do you have interest in films, either acting or producing or what, Patricia?
Yes, I do. I would like to be a executive producer and make films.
I love it. Hey, it's just not being on screen and being that, that person. It's really kind of telling the stories. Paige, what about yourself?
I'm majoring in English literature and history, so I have a real appreciation for arts and analysis and symbolism in general. So I love analyzing films and deeper understandings of films. So I definitely want to incorporate arts and telling stories throughout my life and my career, maybe through writing, maybe screenwriting. I'm not entirely sure, but
Mhm.
I've always had a deep appreciation for films. And so I want to do something in that general area.
That's wonderful. I don't, when I was, again, I go back to undergrad and I took a film class, and I was never able to watch a movie the same way.
Right. Yeah.
I used to go and sit and really enjoy a film. And then after that, I was critiquing everything that I saw. Does that happen with you, Sydney?
Usually, I think it's because I have like a similar kind of example where I was doing a photography class at Georgetown to like better my skills in photography. But ever since that class, whenever I see pictures, I'm starting to think about how they technically took that picture, like how
Mhm.
exactly that happened. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
So let's talk about the film festival. I missed it. So was last year the first year of the DC High School Film Festival that you all are aware of?
No, it's been happening
No?
for years. I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure how long the high school section has been apart, but the film festival has been around for quite a long time.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant, the high school part. So what makes it a high school film festival? Are they films that are created by high school students or
Right.
what?
So for the high school competition, you have to have either made the film in high school or be a high school student. You can't submit anything past high school. And also, the submission is free. There's no fee or anything like that for the high school competition.
I'm curious, how many films were submitted for the festival this year?
There were about 49 films submitted.
Really?
Yes.
And are these students from the DMV?
They're all around the world, actually. We've
Oh,
gotten submissions from Korea, India, I think, and yeah,
Poland.
just like all around the world. Yeah.
wow. And did you all find any sort of common themes among the films? Because I know when you're having to judge and select, I guess, is that how it works? You select the films for the film festival? So what were the common themes, and how did you all decide, what the diversity of themes that you wanted to portray in the film in the festival?
When I was selecting films, I
Mhm.
looked for different things based on what kind of film they were submitting. If it was animation, I know I wanted to have at least a couple of animation films selected to be portrayed because that takes incredible talent as a high school student to be able to make the animation that they make. So I looked for a couple of those, and then I liked having variety throughout the films. So we even have a couple of films that are portrayed in black and white, which is an interesting stylistic choice that the creators made. And I just looked for having good cinematography and good acting overall. And I just wanted there to be a variety of films, that the themes would be different throughout. So we cover a lot of different subjects.
Right. And I also think when we were judging the film, since they were all so different, we also had to stick to like a general criteria so that it could also be a fair sort of grading system. So stuff like the plot and storyline, we also had to focus on just to make sure we were watching a film and it wasn't just like something that was visually pretty or something like that.
Patricia, what about you?
Well, I really looked for like the story structure and like the strength of the narrative, because it's not just all about the cinematography and like the quality of production too, but it's also like the quality of the story, the plot, and like Sydney said, like it should be an actual film where it tells a story, not because there were some that looked like an advertisement, or it wasn't telling a story. So we did look for that main aspect.
What about length? Is there a criteria or for the length of the film?
Yeah, the film can't be any longer than 20 minutes because it's supposed to be a short film.
Right. Okay. So you teased me enough. Now I want to know where do I go to enjoy this film festival? Where's it going to take place and when? And who can share those details with me?
It's going to be at the Miracle Theater in DC. You can take the metro to get there. There's a metro station right next to it, actually.
Is that on 8th Street?
Yes.
Southeast? Okay.
And we're in the theater. It's a really nice theater. It's actually a really great area to be in general. And you can go online to the website. If you just search up DCIFF, you can find the website to get tickets. And the tickets for the high school section are completely free. And all you have to do is reserve a spot. And yeah.
So how many films are part of the high school film festival?
There are 13 finalists.
Okay, 13 finalists. And so who will be judging at this point?
So our judges, we have like judges that are in different aspects of film. They're all different. Mm-hmm. So one of our judges is Spencer Brutig, who is a video producer and editor. And then we also have Anthony Anderson, who is a producer, director, and actor, who also a part of the Emmy Award-winning web series Anacostia. And then the last judge is Alexandria, who is a production manager and producer that's related to Vice News.
Wow. And this is going to take place when? You probably said it and I missed it. When is it going to happen?
Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, actually.
Ooh.
February 25th at 1 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking personally because I want to come, but I've got a personal conflict. But tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the Miracle Theater on 8th Street. Will all 13 films be shown?
Yes, there's going to be a viewing. We have a program schedule.
Okay, all right. And so what role will you all play tomorrow?
So we have to first interview the filmmakers early before the festival starts, but our main aspect is kind of just introducing the speakers and stuff like that. We'll have to go on stage. And then I know personally I am going to be taking pictures so that we have stuff to post on our social media.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Chevy's saying something to me, but I can't understand what she's saying. Oh, yeah. So we want to make sure that we try to cover this. And yeah, we want to see your photo work too, as well, Sydney. So we'll talk about that. But this is great. So what happens next for you all? You all are all seniors, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's next? What's the next plan? I think, Paige, you mentioned that what you're going to be majoring in. Patricia, what's next for you?
I'm still waiting on a couple of college decisions, but I really know that I want to go to California and major in film.
Wonderful. And Sydney?
I know that I'm going to NYU and I'm going to major in media culture and communications.
Okay. Paige, did you want to add something?
I'm going to the University of Glasgow in Scotland.
Whoa. Okay. All right. That's exciting. That's leaving DC and getting a chance to go do what you love to do in another place in the world is always a great thing. So I really honor you two, all three of you all, for your plans and for putting this work together. So this is tomorrow. Is there anything that's coming up? Let's say, for example, if there's a parent or some young folks that are watching this and they want to participate next year, how would they get involved in the high school film festival?
All you have to do is go to our website. There's the due dates. It's open every year. Also free submission. So it's an easy process.
Really? Okay. All right. And so that's great. Okay. Well, I want to thank you. Thank you for joining us, for sharing this great event with us tomorrow. I really, really, really wish I could be there. But at any rate, so if it starts at 1, what time do you think how long do you think it'll go?
5.
Yeah. Who knows? You just might see me then. All right. Okay. Thank you so much for being with us today. And thanks for all the work you're doing to help, promote future filmmakers. And I look forward to seeing your names on the big screen one day.
Thank you.
All righty. Okie doke. Have a great one. Now, see, that's all I got to say. Just do it. Borrowing, hopefully I don't get sued by Nike for using their term, but just do it, and find ways to do it. Not only because you have aspirations yourself, but that you can help others, and so as they go through and judge these films and the films that, maybe win awards, those filmmakers will, be able to celebrate that. And those that just participated will learn something in the process. And so these, again, are great ways that we can keep our young people engaged and celebrate the work that they do. That's what we've got to continue to do. We need a National Children's Month. People think it's Christmas when we give them toys, but no, a real Children's Month, right? So that everything we do is celebrating young people. We're going to move now to King Smith, who is a life member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. He served 2 years in Vietnam and 22 years in the Army Reserve. Started when he was not that you're not a young man, Mr. Smith. I don't want to say that. But, like these high school students we're talking about, seems like your career may have started that early as well. Am I correct?
Well, it started a little bit late, depending upon how you define an early and late.
Okay.
I'm a draftee, so it wasn't like I'd volunteer for the service. And my time was spent between a year's term in Vietnam. Of course, when you're drafted, you only serve 2 years. One of those years was there. And when I came back home, I participated in the riots of D.C. with the rest of the time. So I'm fully combat.
How old were you when you were drafted?
23.
Okay. All right. That's still young. That's still young.
I'll take that.
Yeah. I mean, and think about it, because like we said, some of these kids are coming out of high school. They don't know what they want to do. They don't want to go to college. They may flounder for a little while. And our generation, because we're in the same generation, you guys didn't have a choice. When the Army called, you had to answer.
Well, you could always go to jail.
Exactly. Unless you were Muhammad Ali and you had good lawyers, right?
You did that too, yes.
So tell me about the Veterans of Foreign Wars, where you are situated, the unit that you're a part of, and how you all got involved in this food security.
Well, first, Denise, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share our vision for combating the issues around food security in Prince George's County. Mm-hmm. Being around in the area, and you see the number of, food deserts, compelled us to do this. But it was in 2019 when former Governor Larry Hogan declared the Year of the Veterans. It inspired the members at Post 8950, where I'm located, to develop a plan to increase veterans' participation in the food supply chain. And that's our theme for the project that we have undertaken. The highest concentration of veterans in the state of Maryland are in Prince George's County.
Interesting. Wow.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, yes, we're here. And we're hoping that the current administration will continue to support 8950's effort to advance our programs.
So what are you all doing? What does your program involve?
Well, the post plan is aimed at keeping our veterans in the forefront of the project. So I want to make sure that I clear that up. And overall, increasing in supply chain, we have a plan to build a training facility, which we coined the Veterans Aquaculture Training Center, which is VATC. So we don't have to use that long term. So its overall mission, as I said, is to increase the veterans' participation in the food supply chain. And we're using 21st century technology to do that. And it's aquaculture project as in our name, and that's a nation of two names, and that's aquaculture and then hydroponics, which gets us to the point of aquaponics.
Right.
And that's just a process by which we use organisms to produce the nutrients that feed plants that we want. And we have a controlled environment, which is a greenhouse, I guess probably in layperson's term, that allows us to be able to have yearly production for fresh produce. So it's not seasonal. So that's one advantage is that we have with that. So that's what one of the main things is to provide nutritional vegetables, and ultimately we hope to do the same thing with fish.
Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot about hydroponics, and I don't necessarily know how it works. And so I'm really intrigued by the fact that you all have taken that route to make sure that you can help with this food supply. Is this Mr. Marshall that's joined us?
That is John Marshall. I guess he should be in the guest room. I don't know if he's coming on with us or not.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, he looks pretty relaxed, so maybe he's leaving it to you. Mr. Marshall, are you joining us, or you are on camera,
okay.
sir?
Oh, yeah, I didn't know I was on.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Welcome to Win TV.
No, he's doing a good job. Continue.
All right. Okie doke. Well, we're going to leave it with you, Mr. Smith. That's fine. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Marshall. And he's your president?
He is one of the members of our committee.
Okay.
We started this off with a 5-member committee, and we started when former Governor Larry Hogan declared the Year of the Veterans, and we were inspired to do that. So that's what brought us out to develop a plan that would address or combat, if you will, some of the ills that we see in the food supply chain. And controlled environment agriculture offers so many solutions to addressing the negative impact of climate change that it could have on food production, as you might imagine. And it continues to go on, because when you have an issue with nutritional foods, then you start to get into health issues that we have that's so prevalent in our communities. Not to mention just having food, period, any kind of food is an issue. So we thought that this idea of having utilizing advanced technology to produce food, nutritional food for our community would be a good thought and a good project to embark upon.
So I mean, Maryland has a lot of farms, right? And so were there any of you all who were farmers?
No.
Okay. All right.
And you usually have that in the rural areas, not so much in the urban areas, which is why we are focusing here on Prince George's County. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, there are a couple, not too far away, but so it's just interesting how you all decided to take this route. And then what have you seen over the years that woke you up to the fact that there was a problem with food access?
Well, Denise, I tell you, I have to say that I haven't eaten meat probably in 40 years. So I started out early when people used to call me health food nut
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't eat meat, and later on I stopped eating poultry because I don't want to spoil anyone's dinner, but chickens will eat anything. And just recently we had this issue around um, no eggs. And I say, well, if you eat all the chickens, how are you going to get eggs?
Right,
But
exactly.
here again is an effort to not have to worry so much about the traditional farming, because with our project, it's designed to have indoor farming,
Mm-hmm.
i.e., the greenhouse, and with the technology that we use, it's soilless, no dirt, and it's a recirculating aqua system that doesn't have to have much monitoring and all, and it doesn't take away from the waters that we have for that we're needing, and
Right,
because
right.
it's getting to be a real deal. I know never thought I'd see the day where you had to buy water.
I know, really, really.
Yes.
So what are you planning? What will you all plan to produce? What kinds of uh,
Well,
vegetables?
we're starting off with leafy vegetables,
Okay.
green vegetables, and the like, and sometimes herbs and spices. We have a 3-phase plan, and basically we are in phase 1, where we're talking about the design, development, and construction of self-sustainable on-site agricultural workplace development training center, and that's for controlled environmental agriculture. And the site is being erected on our post at 9800 Good Luck Road in Lanham at this time.
Are there opportunities for people to participate, to volunteer? You know.
There's definitely opportunities for volunteers, because all of the members of the VFW, which I might want to add, one of the things that separates us from other veteran service organizations is that we are all combat veterans. That's one of the criteria in order to be a member of Veterans of Foreign Wars, hence its
Mm-hmm.
name, is that you have been deployed to a hostile area.
Wow.
And
Mm-hmm.
all of us are volunteers, no pay.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a member of our post for going on 15 years, so that's a lot of volunteer work. But since I picked this project up, and we've been doing it since 2019, I've almost gotten a full-time job. Something I hadn't been looking for. But like anytime you undertake, and you might be able to relate to this, anytime you take upon an undertaking as a volunteer, there are things that you realize that wasn't going to occur. And we've come a long way, but we haven't gotten out of our phase 1, which is the design, development, and construction of the self-sustainable on-site training facility. And
Right.
that's where we want to keep our focus, is on what's going to benefit the veterans. And with that, once they acquire the skills and the expertise in owning, operating, or managing a facility, it opens up many economic opportunities.
This is great news for Prince George's County, I think, and for the residents and for people in the region. One, because it's another source of fresh produce, and they're supporting a cause, and I think it's great. Is there places now where your produce is being sold?
We haven't gotten, like I said, we have a 3-phase plan, and we are still in the first phase
Okay.
because there's no blueprint for what it is that we are doing. And
I
there are
got
people
you.
who have done the same thing. We have got some of our direction from Virginia State University and Cheney University in Pennsylvania, and we've even partnered with opportunities with Bowie,
Mm-hmm.
who we had to look at developing a curriculum for the training component of the program. So
This is
right now we're not harvesting anything because we still are erecting
okay.
the
All right.
greenhouse.
Okay. I was just wondering. I was going to go get some of those green leafy vegetables, but
Yeah.
I'll hold on for a minute.
Well, once we get those, once we're hoping that it might be STEM component. Well, it will be a STEM component that we might be able to look into the school systems to adapt that. And the opportunity for the training is open for veterans, their families, as well as the community.
Have you all been able to, I'm always asking about funding and whether you've gotten grants or, how are you supporting this project financially?
Well, we continue to look for funding. We initially started out with a funds that was allowed to us that we won for a grant by a local politician, state politician, and that's the funds that we have been moving forward and advancing our program with.
Mm-hmm.
But what we asked for, we got about 50% of that. So
wow. Mm-hmm.
hence, you start out thinking you're going to get what you need, and you get about half of it. And we haven't stopped trying to get contributions, fundraisers, and things like that from the public and the public sector.
Mm-hmm.
Now, USDA has many programs under development for grants and et cetera, but sometimes they're so cumbersome that as a small entity, that they usually go to the universities for research.
Right, I got it. Well, that's where the partnerships come in, and I think that's what you all are doing, which is great.
Yeah, well, I mentioned, and not only what we're doing, it's beyond just what we're doing, it's the law.
Mm-hmm.
The National Agriculture Act of 1980, as well as the Urban Agriculture Act of 2016, both mandate that communities, the local, state, and the federal government provide funding for programs to support aquaculture. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of being able to put together the paperwork to get you over the hill. And we were fortunate to get that, the 50% that we did get. So now we have all of the equipment that we need in order to continue along our journey.
Well, Mr. Smith, I want to thank you for coming and sharing what I think, again, is good news about what's coming out of Prince George's County, and also what you all are doing at the Veterans of Foreign Wars post. Number 8950.
Yes,
8950. Right.
And it's called 8950, which is at 9800 Good Luck Road.
Right. So, and that's where you are on Good Hope Road.
Good Luck Road.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Wonderful. Well, keep us, informed about how things are going, and we'd love to come out and maybe do a story on you.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. And certainly, we need all of the assistance that we can get, whether it's from the public or private sector, volunteer or otherwise. And I certainly do appreciate the opportunity to share our vision with you and your audience.
All right. Thank you so much. Good luck to you. All righty. Okay, doke. Have a good one. Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of Win TV. We want you to watch our Black History video by Curtis Knowles at the end of the segment. When we come back next Friday, it will be Women's History Month. And if you have any thoughts about some women you think we need to feature, either in an interview or just, some interesting facts, little known facts, some hidden figures out there, send that information to us at news@washingtoninformer.com, because we want to make sure that we give as many people as we can an opportunity to be celebrated for the contributions that they're making to our community, or have made to our community, or will make to our community, as we saw with these young ladies that were with us earlier. So until then, you all have a safe weekend. I guess you pulled out your bathing suits on Thursday, and you'll be pulling those snow boots back out tomorrow. So it's DC. Hey, like you said, you look one direction. It's the weather does what it does, and not that we don't want to discredit global warming, but this is the time and the season that we're in. So I just say stay safe, dress appropriately, stay well, and I look forward to seeing you all next Friday. Curtis.
Founded on March 16, 1827 as a 4-page, 4-column standard-size weekly, Freedom's Journal was the first Black-owned and operated newspaper in the United States. Begun by a group of free Black men in New York City, the paper served to counter racist commentary published in mainstream media. Samuel E. Cornish and John B. Russwurm served respectively as its senior and junior editors. Freedom's Journal provided its readers with regional, national, and international news, and with news that could serve to both entertain and educate. Freedom's Journal was circulated in 11 states, the District of Columbia, Haiti, Europe, and Canada. The Freedom's Journal denounced slavery and advocated for Black people's political rights, the right to vote, and spoke out against lynchings. The D.C. Council commemorated the Mount Zion Female Union Band Society Cemetery's 215th anniversary with the passage of a ceremonial resolution. That resolution, approved by the entire council on February 6, recognizes the cemetery's national significance as a sacred site. On President's Day, community members celebrated this milestone during a tour of the cemetery led by Lisa Fager, executive director of the Black Georgetown Foundation. The cemetery counts among the oldest remaining African-American cemeteries in the D.C. metropolitan area, and the burial site was once used as a stop on the Underground Railroad. Fager commented saying, quote, "Today we're celebrating Mount Zion Cemetery. It started in 1808, burying both blacks and whites, and this was one of the only cemeteries for people who were born and died enslaved, many of which didn't have any markers."